What is going on, alpha males? Welcome to the Alpha Male Podcast, the podcast where we talk about what it means to be a man the right way, strong, made in the image of God, and don't apologize, making godly men strong and making strong men godly. Alpha males, today is an episode I'm actually really excited about. It's a great idea and didn't come from me. It came from a patron. If you want to have your ideas turn into a podcast, become a patron. Go to goodshepherdtraining.com or just go to Patreon and put in goodshepherdtraining.com. Either route you take should take you there. I am truly humbled that you tune in to listen, and I'm even more humbled that those men are willing to support the podcast in a lot of different ways. And one of those ways is giving me ideas on what they would like. Anyway, this is a fantastic suggestion. I've been thinking about it since I asked for suggestions today on the Patreon Insider group chat. And I'm really humbled. This is going to be on being aware of your environment. Situational awareness is a big term in like the tactical community. But just being aware of your environment. With that, I'm going to put in the bio and we'll get to the topic afterwards. Who am I? A question we should all ask ourselves. I am, first and foremost, a servant of God, made in His very own image, a follower of Jesus Christ. A simple man called by God to the Great Commission to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Next, a little bit about my background and what God has allowed me to do and blessed me to do in life. Grew up what most would consider very poor in the backwoods of the southeastern and mid-Atlantic United States, hunting and fishing. Joined the Marine Corps at 17. Did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. So a decorated Marine Corps combat veteran. Infantry assaultman. After the combat tours, I was an urban warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps under Mojave Viper. I also served in the U.S. Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. Also a veteran of law enforcement. I served with LAPD. I was a sworn peace officer, a cop for LAPD. I worked regular patrol assignments and more specialized assignments. One of those more specialized assignments was warrant service, fugitive recovery. Also had some other law enforcement roles. I am an FBI certified firearms instructor and been certified by another 3-letter government agency in a lot of firearms and training things. I've also been a private contractor, worked in the private sector pertaining to tactics and gunfighting and protecting America from enemies foreign and domestic. I served as the commander of a tactical team to stop active shooters in a large metropolitan area. That was our primary mission, to stop active shooters, which sadly are a thing in America today. I've also been blessed to do quite a bit of competition shooting. Started my first formal competitions even before joining the Marine Corps at 17. I had won more shooting competitions than I can remember. I have competed in all manner of disciplines in shooting. I've been blessed to be a state rifle and pistol champion, West Coast regional champion. Like I said, been blessed to win more shooting competitions than I can remember. Mentioned hunting. I've hunted to put meat on the table starting when I was a child. I've also been a professional big game hunter and guide, hunting and slaying all manner of beast. And I don't apologize for that. Humbled to be the host of 3 podcasts: Simple Man Sermons, Alpha Male Podcast, and Gunfighter Life. Obviously, as things not mentioned, I've been blessed to do many other things. But, again, first and foremost, I'm a servant of God, a believer and follower of the Bible, the Word, Jesus Christ. And I don't apologize for that. With that, let's transition into today's topic. So one of the big reasons I'm excited about this episode, being aware of your environment, because it ties in so well spiritually of being an alpha male made in the image of God. You see, God created every living thing breathing on this earth to be part of this earth, but He created man in His own image. In the image of God, He created them. Male and female, He created them. Not only did He make them in His own image, He told them when He made them to have dominion, to rule over the earth and subdue it. Let's go right to the source, Genesis chapter 1. Let us make man in our image according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. Have dominion, rule over, be an alpha male. How can you have dominion over your environment if you don't even know what's going on in your environment? That's one of the big reasons I'm excited about today's episode. Situational awareness, being aware of your environment. Another big reason I'm excited about this is it's not just going to be urban survival tips or wilderness survival tips. This is a alpha male life skill that transcends all that. This could help you in an urban survival environment. It could help you in room clearing and literally kicking down doors on a SWAT team. It can help you in the woods stalking up on a deer. It can help you driving down the freeway. It could help you courting that woman you want to marry. In whatever environment you are, being aware of your environment helps you have dominion and be in control. Let's start with one of the key aspects of this. To understand your environment, you kind of have to know the baseline, right? And a lot of people, sadly, I think, don't even know the baseline of a natural environment. Somebody that just goes walking in the woods probably thinks that's the natural environment. But anybody that actually spends time in the wilderness and hunts and stuff like that, they'll know the difference. Because when you get out in the woods and you're totally still as you can be while still breathing and things like that, when the animals, the insects, everything gets used to your presence there, or you blend in so well they don't even know that you're there, you'll notice a shift. You'll notice a shift in the baseline, the noises, the sounds. You'll see things that you don't normally see if you're just walking through a forest, if you're just hiking through the woods. Hiking is great, but you don't get a baseline for your natural environment just hiking through it because everything there is alerted that you're there. You got to take that to another level, literally. And you know what I'm talking about if you're a hunter, and if not, believe me, this is a real thing that any good hunter will attest to. When you get submersed in that environment, when you blend into it so well, when you become a part of it, the woods just kind of come alive around you. The wilderness just kind of comes alive. The desert comes alive. And suddenly you're paying attention and things make sense. One of the reasons, and I talk about this sometimes on Gunfighter Life, sometimes on here, that I like spot and stalk hunting. Tracking. Tracking is one of those skills where you have to be hyper aware of your environment. Not just the woods. Like, what does this little piece of ground tell me? What has walked through here? What eats here? What goes to the bathroom here? When's the last time something walked through here? What was eating in this patch of blackberries? Was it a deer? Was it a black bear? Oh, that robin is going crazy doing an alert call. Was that me? Did that robin alert on me, or did that robin see a wolf or a mountain lion or a bear or a coyote or a fox? You can tell by the gentle steps you barely hear in the distance. That's an animal with a long stride, so that rules out a squirrel, a fox, a raccoon, a possum. It's got to be a deer, a bear, a wolf, something bigger. Sometimes you get so in tune with the environment you can even smell the things you're hunting for before you see them. You may be stalking on a mountain slope and literally get into an area and smell the elk. Know that you probably push them out of their bed because you walk up on their bed. You know what an elk bed looks like, and you can still smell it. It's it's somewhere they still sleep. Being able to look and say, that's not just a deer track, that's an adult male deer track. And this doesn't just come in handy in the middle of nowhere in the woods. I remember I was a commander of a tactical team. We had a shooting in a parking garage. Parking garages are not safe places in the city in general. A lot of bad stuff goes down in parking lots at night and parking garages. Anyway, there was a shooting in the parking garage, and a lot of good men on the team, a lot of good military guys, a lot of good former police officers, Israeli guys. Not to take anything away from that, but I don't know anybody that was like a true stalking, tracking hunter. I was able to track that suspect through that parking garage and find out where he went because I could track. A far different environment, about as different as you can get in a giant metropolitan area in a parking garage versus the wilderness of Idaho, let's say. But the same principles apply. That same hyper-awareness of your environment still applies. Use this a lot in police work. One of the more specialized assignments I did was fugitive recovery. And warrants. Catching people with warrants. Just kind of looking around. Instead of all the animals in nature and looking around and reading them, what about looking at people and reading them? This man is avoiding eye contact. He's fidgety. Is he just on drugs and nervous because there's a cop around? Does he just not like cops? Maybe had a bad experience as a kid. Is he a felon that doesn't want to get found out? And he's nervous that there's a cop around because he knows he has a warrant. Being able to read those different things. One of the things I got certified in as a law enforcement officer was a drug recognition expert, like looking at somebody and being able to determine not only that they're on drugs, but what drugs they're on. Are they on an opiate? Are they intoxicated? Is it a psychedelic? Is it a methamphetamine? All those different things. But to know that, you kind of have to know the baseline environment. What are most people doing? How do most people appear? It's freezing cold and most people are walking around in big heavy jackets, and this guy's outside with no shirt on for quite a long period of time, just walking back and forth. That's a pretty good indicator. Maybe he just got done with a run and he's cooling off, but if he's not wearing running clothes, it's a pretty good indicator. If he's outside when it's super cold and everybody else is in a big parka and he's outside with no shirt on fixing a car in the middle of the night, pretty good indication he might be on some kind of substance, right? You could put this in play in your own life. Let's say we're talking about parking lots being dangerous. Some parking lots and some places in parking lots are more dangerous than others. Now, I'll give you an example. Usually, if I do have to go to the store, like a big store, I like to park pretty far back in the parking lot and walk up. I can observe my environment, and plus, try not to make everything as convenient as I can. I like, if I can get a little bit more walking in, I'll get a little bit more walking in. Why park right next to it when I can park far away and walk up? It lets me observe things as I'm walking up. Also, I like to walk. When is that not a good idea? What if it's the middle of the night? Don't park in a dark corner back in the parking lot at a 7-Eleven late at night if I forgot to get gas or something like that. I park in a well-lit area. I turn my car off, I listen, I look before I open the door, right? Or at least I should be doing all these things. I look before I open the door, I see if anybody's approaching, and then I get out. And if I have to pump gas, I don't just sit there with my head in the car. Look around. Situational awareness. Another one, and this from being a cop, from being in combat, whatever you call it, situational awareness. And this is a bad example because we almost never go out to eat. If I was going to a restaurant or something like that, you pick a place in that restaurant where you can, number one, know where your exit is and be able to see the main entrance and hopefully a different exit. If you can get both of those things, that's a good place, because you don't want to try and exit the way you came in if you can help it, because that's the way that most people are going to try and exit in an emergency. You don't want to be like most people. You want to go a different way. If you can exit out towards the kitchen or a secondary entrance that goes out another way, most people aren't going to go that way. If they panic, they're going to go out the way they came in. But you still want to have an eye on the main entrance, because if there's an active shooter or something goes down, it's probably going to come through that entrance, right? So even just strategically planning where you're going to sit in a public area can come in handy. If you do this long enough, it just becomes a lifestyle or second nature. But if you're sitting down in a public place and you're on your phone, you're not paying attention to anything in the baseline, you don't really have a heads up. If you're paying attention, maybe you have your phone in your hand, but you are not actually looking at it. It seems like you're looking at it, but you're actually paying attention. You might notice that couple is having a little domestic squabble. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's a verbal altercation. Maybe it's going to turn into something more serious, but at least you're queued up. And you say, hey, that's not the baseline. That's a little bit more edgy than a normal conversation. This may or may not turn physical, but I'm paying attention to it, right? Same example, being aware of your environment. Tying in this in the military, how often are you told as a young Marine, a young soldier, keep your head on a swivel, keep your head on a swivel? You have to pick things out. You have to know your environment and be aware of your environment. You know, if some radical Islami jihadist that hates Christianity, hates America, hates your freedom, is trying to plant an IED on the side of the road, you have to know your natural environment. Pay attention to it. IEDs became a big thing in Iraq. If you're driving down the road and it's all dry sand earth and you see a spot on the side of the road that looks like it just got dug up, you know what something looks like when you dig something up and then rebury it? They don't do a good job on that. You're going to be able to see that something was just disturbed there. That's a pretty good indicator of an IED, right? Or maybe you've been down that route. You've been down that road a couple of times, and last time this big heavy piece of trash, and there's trash all over the place, lots of places over there, but this particular big hunk of trash, whatever it is, was not there, and it's not something that's just going to blow there. Why is that there when it wasn't there before? You know, pre-attack indicator maybe an IED indicator. And that all comes from being aware of your environment. Again, going from military, go to civilian. Maybe you're a single man. Maybe you're looking for that woman you're called to be married to. Maybe you're trying to figure out how to ask her out. I'm just making stuff up. Perhaps you hear her talking with some people she knows around the office, if you work in an office. Maybe she's talking to some friends around the water cooler about how she really likes White Zombies from Dutch Brothers. And you're paying attention to your environment. And then maybe one day, because you're paying attention to your environment, you notice you're both getting off work at the same time, and you say, hey, Jane Doe, it's been a long day. I was thinking about stopping by Dutch Brothers on the way out of here. Would you like me to buy you a coffee? Now, does that mean he's going to say yes? No, it does not mean that, but it does give you a higher percentage. If she wants to go out with you, she probably is. If she's aware of your existence, she's probably made up her mind whether she likes you or not. That's a good easy in, and that helps your situation because you paid attention and you know that she likes Dutch Brothers. Just an average, situation. It doesn't have to be wartime. It doesn't have to be, stalking an elk on the, hills of Idaho. Literally be in your office. Being aware and in tune of your environment. Again, in pretty much any situation, it's going to help you. Now, there is time for entertainment and distraction. As you might imagine, I'm a consumer of podcasts. I usually do that when I'm in an environment that I deem safe and I don't want to be there, like a city. I'm on a mission or I'm working or something in the city, obviously I'm not listening to a podcast. But if I'm stuck in a town or a city or something like that, that's even subconsciously somewhere I don't want to be. When I get out in the woods, I like to just hear the sounds of the woods. I like to hear the sounds of nature. That is better to me than a podcast. And something about me, I don't like driving. If I had a choice, I would rather walk for 4 hours than drive for 4 hours. Fortunately, I can't walk nearly as far in 4 hours as I can drive in 4 hours, right? But if I have to be driving and it's a long straight stretch road where I don't have to be paying attention, I'm not stopping in the ghetto or something, I'll be listening to something because I don't actually want to be there. But assuming you're trying to pay attention to your environment, put away the distraction. Put down the iPhone. Stop texting all the time. Sometimes you want to escape your environment because it's not great, right? But if you want to tune this skill, pay attention to your environment. Just like you blend in the wilderness. Blend into your environment. Maybe have your phone in your hand so it looks like you're texting, because that's what most people are doing. But you actually look around, right? Do this at the airport, especially at the airport, because terrorism, that's still a thing. There are still, Muslims that are trying to kill us. Maybe you send a text or two at the airport, that's fine. But you sit there with your phone in your hand like you're looking at it, but you're actually looking around and listening. Anybody agitated? Probably a lot of people are agitated. That's pretty normal at an airport because flights are delayed, people lost their baggage, whatever. There are guys sitting there saying chants that a lot of people do before they blow themselves up or hurt other people. It's a pretty good indicator, just like that IED on the side of the road. There's any number of things that could cue you to, hey, this is not normal. Normal at an airport, hustle and bustle, and again, people upset because their flight's delayed or canceled or whatever. That's a lot different than a baseline in a forest. But you should still know kind of what a baseline is. It's not your first time in an airport. You probably know. Likewise, if you're on the plane, you know what a baseline is on a plane. Kind of sucks, an environment you don't want to be in. I'm not saying you can't listen to anything on the plane, but maybe every once in a while, look around, lift your head up. A lot of people get nervous flying. The stewardess probably shouldn't be nervous, right? Is the stewardess really nervous? That's a pretty big indicator. She probably knows what's up if something bad is up. Pay attention to the stewardess. Is she nervous? Maybe she just broke up with her boyfriend, right? Around, are multiple stewardesses, stewards, whatever you call them, are they all nervous? That's a pretty good indicator something's up. And I'm just making up examples now. But you get the point. Pay attention to your environment. A lot of men may just muddle through life with their head down, but you're not called to be just average. This is not the Average Man podcast. This is not the Beta Male podcast. This is not the Average Joe podcast. This is the Alpha Male podcast. You have dominion over your environment like a man. And part of that is paying attention and knowing the baseline. This is one of those really cool things where it's a crucial skill no matter what environment you're in, right? And the other really cool thing is it's free. It's like working out or running. It's free. It's way more important as far as being an alpha male or being good in tactics. And that's way more important than the next optic that's 5% better than the last optic, or the next pistol, the striker fire pistol that's got a half-ounce lighter trigger. I'm not saying that's not important. I do a whole other show called Gunfighter Life. I nerd out on stuff like that too. But you being aware and paying attention to your environment is so much more important than that. And it's free. You actually paying attention to that woman you want to court and marry, and actually paying attention to her, is probably far more of a payoff than what kind of shirt you're wearing or what kind of shoes you're wearing or whatever else you're spending money on. And if not, then that's probably not the girl you want to court, right? You don't want a girl that is with you for your shoes or your shirt, or, I don't know, I don't wear gold chains. If you wear a gold chain, right? That should not be why a woman wants to be with you, in my opinion. The kind of woman you actually want to marry, then you actually paying attention to her, probably far more important, right? And I love my wife so much, right? But I often take advantage of how great a marriage we have, and I don't pay as much attention to her as I should, right? Like when she gets home, I should put everything away. She's been working, I've been working, and I should give her my undivided attention because she likes quality time. And I'm very blessed that my wife actually likes to spend time with me, right? But I don't always do that. A lot of times I'm distracted. So I'm talking to myself here too. Pay attention to your environment. Pay attention to those people in your environment. One of those skills, again, that transcends all kinds of stuff. It doesn't have to be stuff hitting the fan, right? The peanut butter and chocolate doesn't have to hit the fan for this to be important. It can be important in your day-to-day life. It could help you avoid an accident on the highway. For any number of things, this is a really important skill. And again, hats off to all the patrons for all that they do. I am very humbled and very blessed. Be a part of that and be a shepherd of that group. I am very humbled. Again, if you want to be a more active member of this tribe, if you want to just listen for free, that's fine. But if you want to actually step up and be an active participant, again, of this community, of this tribe, goodshepherdtraining.com. goodshepherdtraining.com. I want you to do it because you believe in the podcast and believe in the message, and you want to help other young men or old men, any man, be better. You want to help other men be better men. That's one of the marks of an alpha male. An alpha male doesn't take advantage of other men and put them down for his gain. An alpha male is strong and makes other men stronger. If you want to be part of that, goodshepherdtraining.com. If you have it in your spirit to step up and do that, then do it. And if not, don't feel guilty about it. Patrons do get a lot of cool insider content. I just uploaded a bunch of videos, some of working out videos, most of tactical training and firearms training and things like that for the patrons. Something like 15 videos I just uploaded today on there. And I think I put 3 up today. You're wondering, why doesn't this guy do video content? Well, there's quite a bit of it on Patreon. So if you want that, become a patron. Anyway, as a thank you for listening to all of that, the tactical tip of the day. One of the things that can really help you in your environment when you're driving around, especially in a city. Have a cracked window. It's one thing we learned as a police officer when you're riding around trying to catch the bad guy, like you should be doing as a police officer, right? When you're trying to catch bad people, you need to be aware of your environment. Part of that is having that window cracked, at least having your driver's side window cracked. Unless it's really, really adverse weather, it's like pouring down, raining or something, have that window cracked so you can hear outside your car. It's pretty important. Be amazed at how much more you hear, especially at like a stoplight or at a stop sign when the engine is quieter and the wheels aren't turning and you actually just hear what's going on outside. It's a big deal. So that's your tactical tip of the day, especially in cities. Try and remember to keep that window cracked so you can listen to what's going on around you. And the tactical verse of the day, we already read a verse in Genesis, very beginning when God created man. Let's look at when he destroys the earth and saves Noah, the small remnant, what he says. You'll find this in Genesis chapter 9. So God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth and on every bird of the air and on all that moves on the earth and on all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hand. Have dominion. Rule over men. Be in charge. Be an alpha male. You as a strong, dominant, intelligent man. You can be a warrior unlike any other thing on this earth. Or the most dominant predator on this earth. Maybe you should exercise that a little bit more in your day-to-day life. Maybe this episode will help you do that. With that, men, thanks for listening and have a blessed day.